Now that you've gotten a brief overview of the game, let's get into the prototype. First, we have a how to play section of the game. These screens will provide you with the basic rules and phases of play. In the production version of this game, we plan on having a step-by-step, learn-as-you-go tutorial, very similar to that found in Settlers of Catan on the Xbox Live Arcade Marketplace. Let's get into the game. At the start of the game, you'll see 9 infection cards are drawn. Toronto, Moscow, Istanbul, and so on. The first 3 cities are fully infected, as represented by 3 disease cubes. The next 3 cities have 2 disease cubes, and the final 3 have a single disease cube. Let's take a look at our user interface. The dominant portion of the screen is the world map, showing various cities and their infections if present. We can zoom in and out of the map by using the triggers on the Xbox 360 controller. Using the right thumbstick, we can also pan around. As you can see, disease cubes are scattered across the globe based on the cards drawn earlier. You'll also notice red lines connecting cities to one another. These lines depict how infections spread in the event of an outbreak and the adjacent path a player can travel for a given action. In the upper right-hand corner of the screen, players are presented with a visual representation of the cures, the number of outbreaks that have occurred, the current infection rate, and the number of remaining player cards. Just below this region is the list of available actions the user may take. In the bottom portion of the screen, we see the current player and his or her role. In this case, player 1 is the operations expert. We'll cover roles as we move forward. You'll also see the corresponding player icon that is on the map denoting where the player is. In this section of the screen, we also see the player cards the player currently has in hand. As you see, we have Shanghai, Santiago, and Paris. Our first objective is going to be to contain fully infected cities. These cities are the first 3 cards that were drawn, which were Toronto, Istanbul, and Moscow. Let's make our way towards Toronto. All players start in Atlanta at the Centers for Disease Control. We begin play by moving our player to Chicago. Movement is handled by using the left thumbstick, which will pop up a navigation window. This window shows cities that are connected to the current city the player is in. Once you have selected the corresponding city, press A to move there. As you see, this has taken one of our available actions, and we now have 3 actions remaining. We'll now move to Toronto. If you notice in our available actions window, Treat City is now an option. Let's press X and treat the city. As you see, we have removed 1 disease cube from Toronto. We'll use our last remaining action to treat 1 more disease cube. This is the end of the turn, and as you see, 2 additional player cards have been drawn, Sao Paulo and Karachi. We'll now press B to end the turn, and we'll see that new infection cards will be drawn. The game will draw 2 cards, as that is our current infection rate, and will add a single disease cube to these cities. Lagos and Miami. As you see, Miami now has a single disease cube, as does Lagos. For the medic, we're going to head towards Moscow. If we were to travel via adjacent cities, it would take us 6 actions. However, if you notice, this player has the St. Petersburg player card. We're going to press Y to fly to this city. This will save us several actions, as we can now move to Moscow for 1 action point. We've only used 2 actions of our available 4 and have covered some good ground. We're going to treat Moscow now, but before we do, we need to mention the medic's special role or ability. The medic has the special ability to remove all disease cubes of a single color for 1 action point. We're going to go ahead and do this, and then use our last remaining action to travel to Istanbul. This is the end of player 2's turn, and we'll now switch to player 3 by ending the turn.